What's going on, guys? Welcome back. It is the Walking Dead After Show. We've got questions for you to answer. Does Morgan have any sympathy left? Who the hell got in Negan's car? And what does it take to get Rick to read his dead son's letter? All that and more tonight on the Walking Dead After Show here on AfterBuzz TV.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
What's
You guys, I was just saying how good Ben is at the cold openings. Like, he's just so good. I love your energy. I just love having you on the panel. I really do.
Really sweet of you. Thank you. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? It's AfterBuzz TV. We're here. We're talking Walking Dead. It's a very exciting show. We have a ton of stuff to talk about. My goodness, the season 8, episode 14, still going to mean something. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happened this episode.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed this episode.
This was one of my favorite episodes in quite some time. I really enjoyed this one. So on the episode today, guys, we have a ton of cool stuff coming up. We have some news for you that broke today. It is April Fool's, so we're unsure if they're actually messing with us or if it's real. We are going to be doing comic book spoilers at the end of the episode, as we always do, just for a minute. And actually, there's some really interesting stuff today on that that I want to talk to you guys about. And you know, last but not least, we'll be giving some shout outs to iTunes users, YouTube comments, things like that. So I suggest we introduce our panel. It's me and you. Timothy Michael, how you doing, man?
Good. I'm really excited. Unfortunately, obviously, Daryl can't be with us. But not only is it April Fool's, but it is also Easter and Passover. So happy Easter, happy Passover, everybody. I'm very excited to be here with you. I'm glad that we're doing the show on Easter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I would have been honestly upset if we had missed the show, because it turned out to be a really amazing show.
Absolutely. I am a Jew, so Easter is a day that I respect Easter. I enjoy Easter eggs. I always loved Easter egg hunts.
I respect Passover.
Yeah, but it's true, though. I should care more about Passover. I'm not really a very respectful Jew, so you know.
I mean, I didn't bake anything or make deviled eggs today, so I guess I'm really not celebrating Easter.
I watched Back to the Future today. That was the most celebratory thing I did.
I worked.
Yeah, there you go.
That's fun.
Yeah, big salutations to any and all religious holidays that anybody wants to celebrate today.
Yes.
That's the big news for today. So let's talk about the episode of The Walking Dead here. I'm Ben Bateman. I'm merely Ben Bateman Media, if you guys want to follow along with what I'm doing. And we missed Ariel Christian, who's our third host. He's not here.
Nope.
Big shout out to the chat saying, screw this after show, bring Daryl back. That was a comment from last week.
Of course.
Thought that was great.
Course,
Thought that was lovely. So, all right, guys, we're gonna get straight into the episode today. Big Morgan episode. Morgan, Carol, Henry, this whole storyline. They gave us this prod to start the episode with Ezekiel talking to Carol, and he calls Carol a coward. He says, "You're stopped by cowardice," which is like crazy, obviously, juxtaposition. He's a coward, historically.
Right.
He calls her out. This spurs. She goes out with Morgan to look for Henry. It was sort of like he talks to her, Rick, then she goes with Rick, then Rick pairs off with Morgan, and then they come back together.
Yes.
And, you know, with Henry. They find Henry. So it was sort of interesting. I don't know. Ezekiel, I was kind of like, come on, man, really?
Well, here's the thing. So just starting off, I'm like, you have no right to call Carol a coward.
Straight
because,
up.
I mean, literally you're granted, you stayed in a theater for pretty much days on end when like your tiger died. So I mean, it's a little different. I just feel like in terms of everybody coming back and at the end of the episode, it's kind of like a happy ending. I like that. I don't like it when they're separated for too long, because then I feel like a lot of things are lost in translation. So I'm glad they're all on the same page again. I loved Carol's arc in this, because we kind of hinted at it last episode when we talked about Carol and why she's so gravitated toward kids, or why kids are gravitating towards her.
Her talking to Tobin, that whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed where her character went this episode, because we had hinted last episode, like, there was a new kind of love interest Carol that we saw, and then they kind of squashed that. And now we're seeing Carol in, hey, I actually saved somebody today, and maybe that will help her kind of resolve some unresolved feelings that she had with maybe Sophia.
Yeah, so she saves Henry. I mean, she has her conversation last week with, you know, Morgan, where she's talking about kind of what's going on with last week talking with Tobin about how you're just looking forward to one more day. That's all we have. And then in this episode, she has a line where she says, it feels like it could be taken away from you at any moment, but it doesn't mean it will. So she's kind of coming full circle on this idea that you can't just live, you know, a quarter mile at a time, so to speak.
Yeah.
You have to live your life, and you have to try to save people, because, you know, saving somebody matters, and that's the world we live in. And so her arc is interesting. You know, this prepares us, obviously, for that piece of news that broke that we did see a promo tonight for, where Morgan is in Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that trailer actually looked really good for that
It
episode.
did look really
yeah.
good.
I stopped watching that show a season ago, but I kind of want to start again.
I think you might have to get back on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly. I guess that comes back at the finale of this.
Yes.
Are you doing that after show this year?
Yes.
You're coming back?
Me and Krista, yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm really excited.
You're
If you
gonna-
want to join us, if you
gonna
catch
pull
up,
me-
I
you're gonna pull me
might
back
just
in.
pull you.
Alicia Debnam Carey. She's my girl, so I love her. So maybe I'll come back. I don't know. Frank DeLand. I love that whole cast.
I know our viewers would love to have you.
Coleman Domingo is one of my favorite people. I think I've talked to you about this.
Really? Because he's actually not my favorite. I know we're not here to talk about Fear the Walking Dead, but he's actually
Yeah.
not one of my favorite characters on that show.
He's one of my favorite people,
Okay.
actors, and he and I have become friends a little bit because I used to
nice.
cover the show. And I
Okay.
interviewed him a few times, and so we follow each other on social. And I every once in a while will send him a message about a project he's in because he does a ton of theater. He's
Of
in
course,
cool
yes,
movies,
yes.
And he's just a really good dude. So
And he's very talented, obviously.
yeah, obviously Strand is a great character. So, but anyway, we're not here to talk about Fear the Walking Dead. We're here to talk about The Walking Dead.
A little sidetracked.
Yeah. Well,
That's okay.
It's a little plug. You'll be doing the show.
Yeah, because that promo, like you said, was really fascinating. And Lenny James is doing a crossover. So, I
Yes.
mean, it ties in.
Yeah, and they're starting to prep that, which I think is interesting because you're kind of like, what's it going to take to push Morgan away from this group officially? And his arc in this episode
I know.
was probably my favorite part about the episode.
I agree. I feel like Morgan has always gotten on my nerves. Now, one thing that I did not enjoy in this episode was seeing Henry's ghost, if you will. It's a little. I think it's a little too exaggerated for him to keep seeing these dead people.
Sure.
We understand that he's crazy. We understand that Rick had seen him. I forgot what season it was. Season 4, season 5, where he was like batshit crazy,
Fully crazy.
Yes.
In the house.
Yeah, and I can understand where he might be going with that without seeing these ghosts and stuff like that. And I just feel like it's an oxymoron because you're kind of hinting that Henry is dead, and then at the end of the episode he's not.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think when you see Henry, he's a little too The Shining, a little too Sixth Sense.
It's a little weird.
Had a little horror turn there.
Yeah.
So you were like, he's not really dead. He's clearly a ghost.
Yeah.
So he's dead people. But
I think what I did like though was that Carol kind of got into, because Carol's never really seen Morgan in this
yes.
state, and
Totally.
now she literally saw it firsthand. Like, wow, you're actually seeing people who might be dead or are
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was interesting.
We've got Juliet up in the booth. Jules, how you doing?
Doing well.
Excellent. I was wondering if it's possible, because normally our social media correspondent, who's absent today, he mans the live chat. Is it at all possible to enlarge and put the live chat up on the screen? I know there's a difference in the way that we do the streaming now, so I wasn't sure if that's possible. If you can figure it out, cool. If
I'll
not,
figure it out.
totally get
Anything
it.
for you, Ben.
Thanks, Jules. I
Because
appreciate
this is
that.
amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So his arc in this episode I thought was so cool. Like,
Yeah.
it was because we've seen him go crazy before. We've seen him go psycho and kill people before. But what we hadn't seen before is him have one of these, like, when they save Henry and he has a moment when they get back to the hilltop where
Yeah.
he's looking at him and he says, I found the man that killed your brother. I killed him. I killed the man that killed your brother. And he says it like he's like a proud dog that's brought
Yeah.
back a stick or something.
Yeah.
And you can see the look on Henry's face. He's like kind of confused. He's too young to really understand it. He
Yeah.
thought he wanted blood. He didn't,
Yeah.
obviously. And then he says, I'm sorry. And Morgan says, don't ever be sorry. Don't
Yeah.
ever apologize. And then he goes and he cries
Yeah.
by himself.
Yeah.
Reminded me a lot of the, you've seen Saving Private Ryan before?
Yes.
The scene after Giovanni Ribisi dies.
Yep.
Tom Hanks
Yep.
goes and tucks behind like and he's like
Up
silently
buried or something like
crying.
that, yeah.
It's like one of the most emotional moments in that movie.
Yeah.
But it reminded me a little bit of that
Okay.
sort of idea that you have like this uncomfortably emotional moment and you just sort of have to go by yourself and just like cry it out.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually a really one of the most effective Morgan moments I've ever seen.
I think
thought that was great.
One of Morgan's kind of turning points, and I hope that it is. I hope that he realizes that in saying and being so proud that you literally took a life and trying to show off to this kid, if you will.
Yeah.
And this kid being like, I honestly didn't want you to have to do that, because I think that that's what he meant by saying I'm sorry is he, like you said, he thought he wanted blood, but he didn't, because obviously
Yeah,
too
he
young to
realized it.
realize what he actually wants. And Morgan just taking this time to being like, I'm pushing my feelings onto this kid,
Yeah.
and I shouldn't be doing that. And I think that was a culmination of emotions that we saw at the end of the episode, is that I think he feels guilty.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So up here in the chat, we have Jasmine Walking Dead, who said, when Morgan said don't ever apologize, he said that to Carl in Clear.
Yes.
Clear, I believe, is the episode with Eastman, the crazy post-Glenn
Yeah.
dying, we're going to give you guys something that has nothing to do with what you just watched episode.
Yes.
One of the all-time least fan favorite episodes of this show. Though a great
know that.
episode. But
Yeah.
well, fans hated that episode because they faked it out with the Glenn death. Remember?
That's right. Yes.
And then they literally the next episode
killed him.
is
Oh,
the next episode is Morgan.
Right.
In that weird anyway. So
In the cabin and the
with the cage and all
yeah,
that. Yeah. So yeah, I thought the Morgan stuff in this episode was great. You know, getting back a little bit to kind of his arc with Jared, because this is big. We had talked about, you know, is Jared gonna be the next big bad? And he kind of set it up like he's going to be.
He did.
You know, Morgan finds Rick. You know, Morgan's like, I'm not right. You know, things aren't going well. It says Clear is in season 3, says Sydney Taylor. So is it that I'm mistaking Clear with the other episode? Clear might be the one where he is batshit crazy and they find him in his house.
Yeah.
And the name of the other one is like Here is Not Here or something, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how you remember the names of these episodes.
He keeps saying Here is Not
That's
Here.
true. That's true. I'm surprised this one wasn't called, you know, You Were Supposed To or something like that.
Something. Yeah, okay. So that must be season 3.
Episode
says
12.
Sydney Taylor.
Okay.
So, but back to the point, which is that he finds Rick and he's like, I'm not right. They get taken by this small group of saviors that are hiding in like a cabin or something.
Yeah.
And
The dive bar.
yeah, the dive bar.
Yeah.
It's a dive bar. And I thought this was interesting. Our handsome dude, Alden, has a conversation with Rick before Rick goes, right?
Yeah.
And he says to him, don't kill any more than you have to. You could show them. They made a bad decision, but they haven't realized it's wrong. It hasn't hit them yet.
Yeah.
And it was a good moment for his character. It was an interesting moment for Rick's character to say those things. He literally quotes Alden to these saviors.
Yeah.
But then, even after the one savior saves him, they just murder all of them.
This is, I think what I liked generally about the episode is that it made me like characters that I didn't like, Morgan, for example.
Yeah.
And then it made me not like characters that I did like, Rick, for example. And this is the case, and in that instance, I felt really bad because Evan was the name of the prisoner that had escaped, that literally saved his life, and then Rick went and killed him in the end. I honestly didn't think that was going to happen. I thought that maybe because of that quick second moment where of Evan saving Rick's life, that it would have been changed, or Rick had to, you know, get a really quick change of thought. And I was honestly pissed off that he killed these people because here's my thing. Negan says that people are a resource, and I completely agree with that. So for Rick to throw away such a valuable resource like that, and especially people who literally just saved your life, because they could have just left them there tied up. They also didn't do that. So you saved their lives on multiple accounts, and then you went and killed them. I just thought it was barbaric.
Yeah, Ebony Morris set up in the chat here agrees with you. She says lost respect for Rick when he started killing those people.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, I think you have to ask yourself the question why, right? Why is Rick doing it? What's the point? What's he getting out of it? And I think it has to be for both of them, for Rick and Morgan, in that savage, brutal moment. Yeah. I mean, there's two different things. For Rick, I think that was his anger, his Carl anger.
Yeah.
He's taking it out on characters who, you know, were bit parts and got paid scale.
Of course.
And, you know, he gets to kill these people, and I think he comes back and he's really kind of stoic and he realizes that he's wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, Morgan is going crazy and had an incredible vengeance moment on Jared.
Yeah.
Who, it was smart that they teased that he was going to be kind of like a new leader.
Like big bad guy, yeah.
And then we had like just a really brutal death scene.
It kind of reminded me of the scene with Noah in the
Noah
turnstile,
in the turnstile,
right?
totally.
Okay, I thought I was the
Yep.
only one. And then it was a little less gory, but still, I felt like I love this scene because I honestly almost felt bad for Jared.
Yeah.
Because it was so that was a pretty bad death. Like you're literally being
brutal,
held down and literally eaten to death. I like I said, predicted last episode that he would have been the big bad guy or a new big bad guy, and clearly that's not the case. And I'm a little disappointed because he had the chops to do it. Like he was one of those characters that you really just hated. There was like no redemption for his character.
Yeah, I agree. Now, if you are looking for redemption, if you are looking for leadership, have I got something for you? And it goes like this. You guys want to have fun, you want to learn in all areas of your life. For those who do, we have a podcast for you. Redemption, we call that a segue in the industry.
That was great. I love that segue.
Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition, is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder, Maria, every single Friday. It drops on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of your life. That's very much the Maria message, is self-betterment. She sends a great newsletter all the time, so this is kind of in line with that. From health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more, let our Maria be the big sister you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment when you do. Let Maria know it was us who sent you there. A couple of you guys did. How exciting is that? You guys actually did that. That was really, really cool. And finally, check out Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition. It is available now every Friday. Check that sucker out. Let's get back to the episode. All right, so going along with the storyline we have with Morgan and Carol at the same time, you've got this storyline with Jadis. Now,
Yes.
I got to be honest, we sit there, we watch, we take, notes. That's what these are. We write things down, we do it live, then we come in here and do that. And sometimes if you look down, if you're looking at a piece of news, you get a little thrown off for a second. And I got to be honest with you, I saw her pull Negan out on the thing.
Yep.
I saw her scene where the Savior spits on her. And then Negan's on a platform with a gun and a flare in his hand, and he says something about, you shouldn't have left me with a bag of guns and a flare, and don't burn these pictures. And she's got a walker. It was a very fast cut.
It was very fast, yeah.
I was just like, why'd you give him a gun with bullets in it that he could shoot at you with?
Right.
Why'd you put a bag near him? Why'd you give him a flare? Why are your pictures on the ground? I must have just missed something. I, honest to God, must have missed a fast cut. And if you guys in the chat agree with me, because that was just weird. Did you catch something?
I completely agree with you. I thought it was very quick. Now, see, when they opened up the episode with Jadis, now Jadis is becoming fastly one of my favorite characters of the show because I'm just so fascinated with her.
Yeah, she's a good character.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm so obsessed with her, but I am. I felt like the scene when it flips, because they were doing a lot of quick changes with her scenes. There was her, and then in the white slip, and then they changed to her in her container in her really clean room, which was weird. And then in this instance, what we're talking about with her, Negan, she wheels Negan out, and then Negan's all of a sudden has flare, gun, pictures. I was like, where did those all come from?
Yeah.
Unless she brought those all from her cabin, because she was ready to go. I don't know.
You're a little bit in the same boat, right?
I was completely lost as to I'm lost as to how he got them. If he's tied up, how did he get those everything? Literally everything.
He was tied to the point that his hands were like, yeah, exactly. Ebony Morris said it seems like a whole scene got cut.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're not the only ones.
Yeah, it really was confusing. It was one of these things, you were kind of like looking at it, and here's something interesting. Danny Grace, I'm not going to say this out loud in the chat. We're going to save this for comments later in the show, but I'm gonna pull back to that. So I don't know what the hell happened here.
Yeah, I don't either.
His hands were so tied that to get a gun in his hand and a flare in his hand, it feels like she would have had to put them in his hands.
Yeah.
So was she setting up some sort of elaborate plan with a walker, and then she hears the helicopter?
Maybe.
Because then she picks up her own flare. So walk me through. Do you know what was going on?
I don't know. I am as lost as you, and maybe like you said, maybe some of the viewers in the chat can clarify things, but everybody seems to have missed the same things that we did, because I never saw her put anything in his hands or anything like that. He just has a flare. I understand what they were trying to do. I guess she was going to light a fire. In my mind, it was to signal the helicopter that winds up coming along. But then it seemed to me like she didn't even know the helicopter was coming.
Right.
Because she runs and grabs another flare. And then she was looking at this flare like, oh, that's like a lifeline. So maybe she was like, I'm not using the flare to, I don't know. Yeah, I'm lost.
Well, okay, so Sydney Taylor here says, or maybe she thought Negan couldn't reach those. So this is something interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe we just sort of missed a moment where Negan is wheeling himself around, and he wheels himself close enough to this bag that she has that's got pictures, guns, and flares in it.
Yeah.
Opens it up with one hand, but then he'd have to turn the thing around to get something in his other hand because he couldn't get his hands near enough to each other.
Yeah.
But then she's wheeling over this, another one of these theatrical walker things that was chained up. So what was the point? That was very confusing.
So here's the thing. With the walker, I understand maybe she was going to... Because remember how when they captured Rick, they put him in the huge circle and they put the walker with the metal thing on his head. I'm thinking that she was going to do the same thing with Negan, where she was going to trap him with this walker and see if he can get out. It's like a game for her and the salvagers.
She's got some amount of...
Yeah, some weird... I don't know. She gets off on trying to see guys struggle with these walkers. That's literally my only thought process in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something interesting like that. But in the course of this conversation, we did get some pretty great information regarding Negan and Lucille, which we are going to get to in just one quick second. But before we do, I want to give a quick shout out to our chat and our comments, guys. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. You know, iTunes and YouTube, it's kind of how we keep this thing going. Interaction is what keeps us high in the standings on iTunes, and that's how people find out about the show. So I'm going to give a quick shout out on YouTube. We'll get to iTunes in a little bit. Dimitri Sanchez last week comments, Simon isn't the stupid version of Negan. Negan is dumb on his own. It's in a comment related to what we were saying last week about how frustrated we were watching Simon kind of just be the like bad version esque of Negan. I thought that was an interesting comment that even at this point that Dimitri really just doesn't like Negan and thinks he's still an idiot. Also great comments from Tarek Stedman and Matthew Allison. I'm not going to read the full comments because they're long, but go look at the comments from last episode. There was some really great interaction there. Let's talk Lucille.
Yes.
Negan tells a story here. Tells a story about his wife named Lucille. He gave nothing to, but she got him through. And now the bat got him through this part. Is he lying?
No.
Think he's telling the truth?
I do. I honestly think that he's telling the truth. I actually, like I said before about liking characters that I didn't like, I liked that the writers are giving us little teasers to characters and their backstories.
Yep.
I honestly don't think that he's lying. I don't think that he has any reason to lie right now. I honestly believe that Lucille was the name of his wife. The story that he told us completely is believable.
Right.
She was the one who saved him before this whole post-apocalyptic world has happened, and now Lucille is the one who saved him after. He's lost his wife. Why wouldn't you name the bat your closest thing after your wife? I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it made me like him a little bit more.
Well, there's two things in this Negan stuff that I thought were really interesting. One of them was that Negan is more relatable in this episode.
Yeah.
It started last episode with the conversation over the walkie-talkie with Rick, you know, and about Carl. And you started to sort of see his conversations and his understanding, this belief he has, right, that he's saving people. Because he does say early in the episode, talking about Simon, right, he says the thing about, you know, you could do it, what does he say? I have it written in here somewhere. Basically, I can give him a path, my path. That's what he's saying that his people are supposed to do, and Simon didn't do.
Oh, because he didn't follow the program.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. My notes are just chicken scratch over here. But basically, he says that, and you start to kind of realize that he still, in his mind, is doing the right thing. He, in his mind, has the survival of the fittest code. Yet, despite all of that and how relatable and likable I found him in this episode, first of all, he still talks like this weird sort of like potty language.
I love it.
Yeah, but I like that he even uses it when he's like having a serious moment.
Yeah.
Not like an intimidate you whistle moment.
Yeah.
But like a, you know, I swear on my sack, just like, but that aside, why on earth would she let him off the platform and give him his bat back?
And the car.
What?
Like, she had a car, and now he's driving the car in the end of the episode that we saw. Like, she gave him literally everything back.
It feels like she is more of a villain than I thought because she's willing to let him go. Because I don't think you could actually, in the mirror, look at yourself and say, I'm going to let this guy go back in the world with a bat and think he's going to do good things for me or anybody else good in the world.
Right. I understand what you're saying. The only hesitation that I have about it is just pure selfishness, is that I really don't want Jadis to become a villain. I want her to join Rick in the Hilltops group. I want her to, you know, be a good guy after everything that she's lost, because I honestly believe that she was a good leader to her people.
Yeah.
And I understand her wanting to get revenge against Simon. So I guess we'll see how that goes. I don't think that her and Negan are going to be pairing up anytime soon if he doesn't handle his situation like he said he would.
Yeah, I mean, he basically, you know, he says he's going to go take care of things. He's going to try to, you know, kill Simon or something. P-Baz, tell that daddy is home there. Wait, tell that daddy is home there. I think he's talking about Negan coming back to the compound. So Negan meets someone on the road, we don't know who it is, on his way back to the sanctuary. I think probably we'll save that for predictions to talk about.
Agreed.
I think that seems like a perfectly fair question to ask.
Yes.
I would love to know in the chat, though, who you guys think it might be, so we can kind of, you know, low-key steal your answers and claim those our own in predictions.
Yes. Do you want to talk about that helicopter?
Yeah,
Because
I think the helicopter is
insane.
pretty important.
What is that? It's just, okay, so here's my thing with the helicopter, because Negan seems to have, okay, this is the first time that he's seen the helicopter, obviously, because he looked dumbfounded.
Yep.
My thing is, it's a helicopter. You can hear a helicopter around. So if this is the second time that it's flown,
this very same helicopter.
Yes. Why has nobody heard this anywhere? They can't be that far away from each other, can they?
Well, there's some pretty weird stuff, right? There's the helicopter, but there's also like her little like IKEA trailer that she has.
Yes.
And so trying to kind of figure that out, like what's going on over by the junkyard? What does Jadis know?
Yeah.
Where's the helicopter from? How many more little areas like this one does she have hidden around?
Right.
It was very clean.
Well, somebody in the chat earlier, it was a very long name. Forgive me, I can't remember right now. But they said that she was trying to light the salt in the fire because it would make a lot of smoke to make a signal. So I'm thinking if that's the case, then maybe this compound is part of a bigger compound from where the helicopter is coming from, and she was trying to signal it to let them know that, hey, she's still alive even though all of the rest of her people are dead.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I don't think that she was trying to light the fire in order to signal somebody. I think she was trying to light it in order to burn Lucille.
Yeah.
I don't even think that because she looked pretty shocked that the helicopter was there too.
Right. Even though she had like an alarm set, it looked like she had like
That's right.
like a time it was going to come back or something.
I don't know. Yeah.
This feels a lot like The Hatch in Lost Season 2. There's a mystery. I want to know what it is. Yeah.
I'm intrigued though. It's not like I don't like this twist. I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, the helicopter bit was definitely very, very strange. So, continuing through the happenings of this episode, you definitely have some stuff going on with Tara. I have this problem with that.
Did you want to be fancy about it?
It's Tara.
Tara.
Okay, with Tara.
Tara.
So Tara has a conversation with Daryl where she's basically like, I trust Dwight again. Daryl's like, what happened? That's a bad one. That was a bad one. I'll practice. I'll do better next time.
That was a little bit more Rick. I think you need to work on your Daryl.
Yeah, that was a little more Batman or something. But basically, I mean, that's the only scene with the two of them that we really get. She's like, he's off the hook. And so Daryl. So now it feels like Daryl's come full circle, and now he's going to maybe have it out with Dwight at some point soon.
I do agree with what Tara said, though, that, Daryl had pointed out that they were going to need him, and then now she said that they would need him more now than ever.
Yeah.
So I do agree with that. So I'm hoping I like that she's back on Team Dwight, I guess you can call it.
The episode ends with Rick basically coming home and reading the letter.
Yeah.
Reading the letter that he had a conversation with Michonne early in the episode about not reading.
Yes.
Michonne's reading hers to start the episode. She's very emotional. We don't get to hear what's in the letter, but I think we have to assume it's "I love you, goodbye, Dad," something like that.
I think this was a missed opportunity at the end of the episode because I was really hoping for a voiceover.
To have the Carl voiceover?
Yeah, I don't know if I was the only one. Maybe I wasn't because you kind of read my mind on that.
Right.
But I that's what I missed. I want to know what's in these letters, and I think it would just be very poetic.
I think maybe less is more, or something like that.
Yeah. You think it'd be maybe too cheesy if there was like a Carl voiceover?
It's just predictable. The "Dear Dad,"
yeah.
that's just. I mean, it's fine, but it's just that would feel closer to the heavy-handed stuff the show has done a lot of this last season or two. That's just like, okay, guys, we get it. Whereas like the Morgan stuff with Henry was way more like interesting. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff the show needs to do more of. Is like, we're going to give you a situation with a character that's uncomfortable, and we're going to surprise you with the way this character is acting by great acting and intelligent writing. Yeah. Like, that's what that moment was to me. It was like, this, I couldn't have told you how that was going to play out. Right. Whereas, like, if he started reading that letter, it would have been like, I could have told you that's how this episode is going to end.
I agree. You're right.
So I think it's probably better they did. So let's get into the last bits of the episode. There's a couple things I want to do. The first one is I want to give a big shout out to Best Hype Man Ever.
Best Hype Man Ever. That's the best screen name ever.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. I agree. Best Hype Man Ever gave us a great review on iTunes. So if you're hearing this, thank you so much. We asked last week for you guys to give us ratings and reviews on iTunes. If you guys want to give us 5 stars and a great review, you just may hear your name here on the show. I mean, if you don't want to give us 5 stars, that's okay, of course. It's okay. But just be honest, we'd prefer you gave us 5 stars. But Best Hype Man Ever says, excellent cast with an excellent cast. He's talking about our podcast. Oh. And we're the cast of it.
I love that. I feel like you're the leading man. Me and Daryl obviously supporting, but that's okay.
You're too kind. Informative and easygoing. Not a bunch of roided up hype monkeys. These guys are down the line. Keep it up. So thank you so much, Best Hype Man Ever. We appreciate that. We appreciate you, repping, keeping us going. It's very nice of you.
Yes, and we appreciate obviously everybody in the chat because we love interacting with you guys throughout the week.
Yes. So we're gonna do a tiny little bit of news here quickly. Then we're gonna get into predictions.
I love news.
There's some cool news this week. So.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Oh, look at that!
I know you've never heard it before.
I never had heard that before.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, we got a little soundbite and everything.
We're gonna drop. This is sweet. Okay, first of all, this morning on the Walking Dead Twitter, did you see that they teased a picture? It's Daryl's crossbow, and it reads, "Next year's gonna be fun." ... Suggesting there's some sort of Walking Dead prequel movie with like Daryl as the leading character.
Did you get prequel movie? Because I got spin-off. Because remember how they were talking about doing a spin-off with Daryl?
Yeah, when I read the article, like the headline, and I read through it.
Right.
The title was like teasing a spin-off movie. So I'm assuming there was something in there, like it looked like a movie poster. I think is maybe the reason.
Here's my thing: when they started talking about Daryl and having his spin-off show, I wasn't very excited about it, to be honest, because I feel like Daryl has just become one of those characters where I'm not a little over, because obviously he's one of the core ones, but I still have a respect for Daryl. I still love Daryl, but they're not doing enough with his character right now to have him do a spin-off show and me be interested in it. I feel like if they were ever to do a spin-off show or even a movie, it'd have to go to like beforehand when he was by himself and his brother and then the whole thing started, not now. But then how would you make him look that much younger? Like it's been a few years. So
I mean, Doc Brown goes back 30 years and looks the same age in Back to the Future. That's a classic, so I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know. I don't know.
So, all right, let's talk about the other piece of news here, which is that Greg Nicotero, in an interview with Fandom, recently said it's always nice to see the group on the road a little. He doesn't want to see them stay in one place for too long. So now this would suggest, and we're going to be not too spoilery because we're going to get to comic book spoilers in a second, but there's a storyline called The Whisperers.
Yes.
We've mentioned it in the comic book spoilers before. I won't explain why. Stay tuned for comic book spoilers if you want that. But this would suggest that we will not be going directly into the Whisperers storyline, which is what in the comic books happens after the Negan storyline. Somebody in the article says this Negan all-out war storyline has gone 37 episodes. We have been dealing with Negan for 37 episodes.
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. And like I said, we've talked about it, so I feel like it's beating a dead horse. But literally, a villain on this show can't last for more than a season, at most.
Yeah.
Half a season, at best. Because it has to keep us interested. With The Walking Dead, the turnover rate is it has to be so high. The stakes have to be so high every episode because it is a zombie apocalypse that you can't have the same villain for 37 episodes. It's a little ridiculous.
So the Whisperer storyline is effectively another conflict storyline that would take a very long time, and I think this suggests that perhaps, because he says it starts to turn a little bit into season 4 and 5 again, which is like a ton of time spent, I think, at Alexandria.
Okay.
And so that's interesting. I mean, I think everybody has different favorite parts of this show, but I do agree it's nice to see the group on the road a little bit more. One place does get a little bit boring.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Those are the two big pieces of news on The Walking Dead today, which means I think we should probably get into predictions and then do a little bit in the realm of comic book spoilers.
Yes.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
AfterBuzz is stepping it up with these.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of good transitions.
I know,
Jules,
I love it.
Jules, you're killing it up there.
Jules is taking care of us tonight. Okay, so my number one big prediction would be who is in the car with Negan. And I'm guessing that it's going to be Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren.
I
think it's Laura. You're talking about the girl that sees Dwight,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, the chat was blowing up about that. They all agreed with us.
Okay.
I think it's got to be.
Okay.
I mean, I can't think of another character that Negan would see and recognize and be happy to see.
Right.
Unless it was like Rick. But even then, I think they'd start fighting again. Like, I'm trying to think, who would he see?
Well, Rick is already at the hilltop, so it's definitely not Rick. I would say Gregory, but I don't think he'd be that happy to see Gregory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Gregory or like Dwight. But we see in scenes from next week that Dwight sees him at the oh my gosh, their compound for the first time. Maybe it's I guess it's possible that it's like somebody in Alexandria that's a traitor, that's like secret, like maybe there's a big reveal, but I think it's got to be Laura. I would agree with you. That seems too.
Yeah.
It seems like the right move in terms of writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only person that I could honestly think of right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see.
Oh, snap! Danny
What?
Grace, Sherry.
No.
Boom!
Oh no.
I hope so.
I don't. Okay.
That'd make me
First of
happy.
all, Danny Grace, with all due respect, it can never be Sherry because Sherry would run from the car. She would not run to the car unless she was running from something bigger. But she hates Negan. She doesn't want to be with Negan, so I don't think it's
see him
Sherry.
and like freeze and not know what to do, or
No
she's bad
way.
on her.
No
it's
way.
true. She hates
I
Negan.
don't. I'm sorry. I'm gonna disagree with you guys in the chat. It's not Sherry.
It's not Sherry. Okay, fair. Yeah. So Jesse Holmes. A lot of people think it's Laura. I think a lot of people agree with us.
Yeah.
On that. As far as the news goes, I would guess that. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing the Whispers. I think that the death of Carl that we just saw leads me to believe that storyline is not going to happen.
And I don't think they're going to be sticking. Then they're not sticking to the comic books, so we can't really expect them to stick to the storyline comic books of going right into the Whispers.
Yes. So guys, right now, Timothy, and myself, who's our Twitter handles should be on the bottom of the screen, we are going to get into comic book spoilers because I think there's a good 2 minutes of comic book spoilery talk for us to get into. But we don't want to ruin anything for you guys. So this is your official spoiler alert right now.
Spoiler alert.
Once again, I know.
Spoiler alert.
On it.
Spoiler alert.
No feet up on the table for Jules. So we are going to be talking about comic book spoilers, guys. You guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media, just in case you don't want to hear this. That's where you can find me.
Yes. I'm Timothy Michael. You can find me everywhere at I'm Timothy Mike. I'm excited to talk comic books.
Yes, we'll do another sign off in just a minute with a little bit more of where you can find us. I threw your name out in the chat earlier, but I can't remember because I didn't write it
I
down.
can't either.
Jadis is Alpha was one of the suggestions,
Which I would love.
which I think is cool.
That would be so cool to see a female badass character. But like I said earlier, I don't want her to be a bad guy.
So Alpha is a character in the comic books,
torn.
if you're listening, that is basically the head of this group called the Whisperers. The Whisperers are they're people that cut the skins off walkers and then they wear the skins to blend in like they're walkers. It's a weird her name is Alpha because it's like all dominance. You have a leader and everybody falls in line, almost like a cult. The character Alpha has a daughter in the show or in the comic book that Carl basically falls in love with. Carl's dead now,
Right.
So that storyline's kind of a little null and void.
Yeah. Unless, see what I was going to say, unless it was maybe she'll have a son, but Jadis doesn't have any kids. So if Jadis is Alpha, then
It would be interesting to see Jadis be Alpha. I mean, I think that's a pretty weird take, but I don't think that it lines up. I also don't think that they want that storyline right now. I don't think they want to give us the Whisperers because it is basically another war scenario.
that, and I also feel like Jadis is becoming one of those characters that everybody likes.
Yep.
So to turn her that bad, I don't think is a payoff for the show.
Yeah.
But I do want to see a female bad guy. I do want to see that.
I mean, they are changing the show significantly because obviously Carl had a pretty strong relationship to Negan and Carl's dead. So I don't think we're going to get the same kind of can't remember who lets Negan out. I think it's just, in the comic books, I think it's like some, right? Isn't it like some disgruntled member of the Hilltop or something lets him out and then Negan kills him?
I don't remember.
I think that's what happens in the comic. I can't quite remember now. It's been a little while since I read it, but it does feel like we're starting to stray from the path. But yeah, I'm curious to see. So that's gonna wrap up comic book spoilers. Unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
That was it. I think that the show is, like I said, deviating from the comic books a lot. So
Which for right now I think is a good move.
Yes,
It
I
is
agree.
A good move.
I agree.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to follow along with my career, my exploits, you can find me here on AfterBuzz TV. I also have the Riverdale After Show on Wednesdays. I do Action Movie Anatomy, which is a podcast about action movies every Wednesday on the Popcorn Talk Network. And if you guys want to check out Nerds in Suits, you can find Nerds in Suits movie reviews anywhere podcasts can be found, on Spotify, on iTunes, Alexa, all those places. I review every movie, do daily movie news. Check that out.
He's very popular, you guys. If you guys want to follow me, I do quite a bit of shows here at AfterBuzz as well. I do the Grey's Anatomy show and the Will and Grace show on Thursday nights. I also do an unproduced table read show with Jeff Graham, where we read all of the best unproduced scripts in Hollywood right now. And on April 15th, I will be doing Fear the Walking Dead after show. So I look forward to seeing most of you there. Hopefully, I can drag Ben along. We will see, and I hope to see you guys there, like I said.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Happy Passover.
Expressed herein are those of the host only, and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.